it's a very good evening. Thank you for joining us. You are watching Sunday Edition live from our Pocketsville studios in Highlands, Harare. I am Yvonne Mukondani. Memory Nkwe Ndlovu will join us from Montrose.
It is a beautiful evening indeed. I'm Liam Bernard with Noble Maungo on the Sign Language Desk. These are our leading stories tonight. The SADC chairperson, Comrade Emerson Mnangagwa, urges African countries to correct their history distorted by former colonizers. In Arm and African, we celebrate Botswana's Seletsile Tebogo, who has revolutionized African sprinting on the world stage. And this and that tonight, a Rafingora man is entertaining his community through lifting heavy weights with his teeth.
Sounds interesting. Do you think your teeth are strong enough to do anything?
I can't even
other
lift
than chewing
a toothbrush with my teeth.
Interesting. Anyway, those are leading stories. Let's take a look at the menus.
In our menus tonight, SADC chairperson President Emerson Mnangagwa says African countries have a responsibility to correct their history, which has been deliberately distorted to suit the narrative of former colonizers.
He was speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the SADC Liberation Square at the Museum of Africa Liberation in Harare this Sunday.
Our diplomatic correspondent filed that report.
Remains a key component of their story, and depending on who is narrating the history, Africa has fallen victim to erroneously captured history through the pen of its former colonizers. The groundbreaking for the SADC Liberation Square in Harare this Sunday is a step towards putting in place a monument that will tell Africa's true story. Housed at the Museum of Africa Liberation, the SADC Liberation Square will ensure each country has space to exhibit their struggle history. The project is being spearheaded by the Institute of African Knowledge in SADC. President Mnangagwa was joined by his counterparts, His Majesty King Mswati III, Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina, President Mokgweetsi Masisi of Botswana, and President João Lourenço of Angola, as well as the SADC Executive Secretary, Mr. Elias Mahosi, for the groundbreaking ceremony. The head of state reiterated his government's commitment to deploying resources and expertise towards the institutionalization of African narratives and perspectives on the decolonization of the continent.
We are aware that the history of our continent has been and continues to be deliberately distorted to suit the parochial interests of our former erstwhile colonial masters. It is the responsibility of our generation to ensure that this important phase in the history of our continent is accurately documented and secured. It is time that we set the record straight. Otherwise, history will judge our generation harshly for having watched with disinterest while our history is being falsified.
President Mnangagwa said the Museum of Africa Liberation is an affirmation of the liberation struggles of the African continent.
It immortalizes our rich African heritage, given its central role as a reservoir of the events and activities that characterized our struggle against foreign domination and exploitation. It should also be a source of pride and inspiration for future generations to jealously defend, guard against the encroaching wave of neo-colonialism. Exhibitions that showcase the historic struggles of the African people and the victories registered against oppression and injustice will form the core of this museum. The facility will thus help to amplify the heroic exploits of the African people, to restore the dignity of the African people, and to celebrate our Africanness. My government has therefore resolved to avail a hectare of land to SADC, where each member state will be able to construct a monument of our struggle against colonialism.
As he handed over the 1 hectare piece of land for the construction of the Liberation Square, President Mnangagwa said Zimbabwe is implementing the project fully aware and supportive of other projects on museums in the region. SADC Executive Secretary Mr. Elias Mahosi performed the groundbreaking ceremony and delivered a speech on behalf of the chairperson of the Organ Troika and President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Hassan.
This is why the SADC Liberation Square is a most welcome development, in addition to memorializing our heritage as Southern Africa. Indeed, no single African country can claim to have attained liberation on its own. No individual state can say it defeated the oppressor single-handedly. We triumphed as a collective. We were in the trenches together.
After the groundbreaking ceremony, a memorandum of understanding was signed between INSTAC and the SADC Secretariat for the work to be done on the Liberation Square. Josephine Mugio, ZBC News, Harare.
Meanwhile, His Excellency the President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, has rallied regional countries to come together in building economies that embrace the green energy revolution. He said this as he addressed visiting heads of state and government at Geopomona Waste-to-Energy Project site in the capital today.
This Sunday, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, accompanied by his 2 deputies, General Retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga and Comrade Kembo Mohadi, led the tour of the Geopomona Waste Energy Project in Harare. Visiting leaders King Mswati III of Eswatini, Botswana President Mokgweetsi Masisi, and President Andry Rajoelina of Madagascar were in attendance. As he addressed the delegates, President Mnangagwa said the project is a critical element in energy production as well as successful waste management strategy.
Illegal dumping of waste coupled with the improper disposal of highly hazardous chemicals also exacerbates the risk of negative health and environmental consequences to our people and future generations. For Zimbabwe, this background necessitated the adoption of robust and responsive models that enable local authorities to sustainably manage waste. The establishment of comprehensive frameworks for effective chemical management, disposal of waste for environmental renewal and protection have led to the vast innovations, including in the renewable energy space. We are now generating electricity here from the waste which was here.
He added that a project like this, if replicated elsewhere, will prove beneficial in environmental management strategies within SADC and beyond.
This waste-to-energy initiative has not only addressed the environmental challenges that were caused by this dump site, but the plant, once completed, will generate electricity for the national grid from the west. This plant is therefore a demonstration of the vast potential of strategic innovations in resolving our day-to-day community and national economic questions, such as power supplies. This project further dovetails with our theme, promoting innovation to unlock opportunities for sustainable economic growth and development towards an industrialized SADC. The fact that this company is people-centered with a large pool of youth and women being employed here is commendable.
King Mswati III of Eswatini said the project was a commendable move, able to not only embrace the green energy revolution, but also create jobs.
Impressed to see this facility where, for a long time it used to be a waste center, and now it has been transformed, and there are a lot of jobs which have been created here for many, many people of this country. And it's such a good area because this place now has been transformed to meet the climate change programs. And we wish to congratulate His Excellency and all those who have been involved with this particular project. And we hope from the experience of the Zimbabwean, this project could be transferred to other SADC members.
A Geopomona Waste Management CEO, Dr. Delish Nguwaya, expressed satisfaction on the progress made in turning trash to cash.
The magnitude of attention given to us through today's storm is exciting and humbling at the same time. Following growing concerns about the chronic environment hazards emanating from the neglect former Pomona dam site, we initiated a rapid response which has made our site an example to environmental preservation. Our zero waste landfill policy continues undeterred. The generated waste will be recycled and utilized for energy recovery.
The Geopomona Waste Energy Project consists of a weighbridge, a concrete plan, along with wastewater treatment plant and a sorting plant, which, when operational, will feed the national grid. Olin Ndori, ZBC News, Harare.
Zimbabwe is demonstrating that it is already the breadbasket of the SADC region, and thus many countries should visit and learn how it is done here. These were the words of President Eric Mokgweetsi Masisi and SADC Executive Secretary Mr. Elias Makhosi, who visited President Emmerson Mnangagwa's pre-camp farm in Kwekwe.
The land reform program that saw the once white-owned farms reverted to the indigenous people at the turn of the century is a resounding success. The visiting Botswana leader, President Mokgweetsi Eric Masisi, says he is impressed and now better informed following his visit to Prekab, the First Family's farm near Kwekwe. Almost 500 hectares are under wheat and barley, and 30 hectares are under Irish potatoes.
I am floored, flabbergasted. I could never have imagined that what I hear and read about, I would see. But this is it. It's a real food. What I'm proud about is that there's a president who feeds people. He doesn't just feed Zimbabweans, he feeds Africa. So what he speaks about is what he does. And I am just absolutely in awe, literally. So I have a lot to say when I get home. What has totally taken me aback when I was talking to Patrick was the yield here. 65 to 70 tons per hectare. He expects in this 30 hectares to harvest more than 110,000 hectares of potatoes. Tons.
Yeah, no problems. This is normal.
This is
no.
But this is a real production of food. It's efficient. You know? And there's a lot that we need to be learning from, and you don't tell your story enough, I think, in Zimbabwe.
The Ankole breed is for royalty, and the President Mnangagwa's head is now over 30, the second since their importation from East Africa, and the calving rate is 100%. The President of Botswana is also impressed. Remember, Botswana is a cattle country. President Mnangagwa gave the visitor 3 animals to also start breeding the animals that for generations have been bred for sentimental purposes, especially by the kings of East Africa. Each of these animals costs between 65,000 to 300,000 United States dollars. The Ankole breed. The SADC Executive Secretary, Ms. Elias Makhosi, who accompanied the 2 leaders to Prekab, gives us his impressions after visiting the farm.
Oh, this is very impressive, to be honest. When the president invited me to the farm, I didn't expect to see this. When he said he's producing for the nation and he's producing wheat and for the nation and barley, I didn't expect to see this. This is an example of leadership, not just leadership by perhaps pronouncing policy. He's actually a leader who's doing it to lead people and to show people that it can be done. Can you imagine a first citizen tilling the land and producing, and then who else will not rally behind him and do exactly what he's doing? So first, It is just the principle of him making the statement and then leading. And then you've got all those other things. It goes back to the principle that Zimbabwe used to have, that it was the breadbasket of Africa. And when I met him 3 months ago, he said, we are almost 80% to going back to where Zimbabwe was. So this is very good. And I think it's a learning for other member states in our region to also see this and try to do.
Zimbabwe is fast becoming the breadbasket of the sub-region. With the technology, hard, honest work, the Zimbabwean leader is leading by example, said President Masisi and the SADC Executive Secretary, Mr. Elias Mahosi. Ruben Barwe, ZBC News, Precab in Sherwood area of Kwekwe.
Now, the SADC chairperson and president of Zimbabwe, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, says the region will remain united and indivisible as it will continue defending the trading bloc's rich liberation heritage.
In honor of the heads of state and government attending the 44th SADC Summit, the chairperson of the trading bloc hosted a state banquet as a way of cementing the existing relations. Addressing delegates during dinner, SADC chairperson and Zimbabwe President Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa said the region is united by the common aspirations and will continue to defend the rich liberation and heritage.
As neighbors, brothers and sisters, we share a special relationship premised on our common historical and cultural affinities, as well as through family and other ties, including our common borders and ideologies. In spite of being geographically and politically different jurisdictions, we are one people, united under SADC with common aspirations and an intricately linked future. Our fraternal bonds are deep and glued together by the precious blood of our heroes and heroines who fought for our liberation, our independence, our freedom. Some of their remains lie in unknown graves in our respective countries. In their honor, we shall defend our rich liberation heritage. SADC shall forever remain united and indivisible.
Comrade Mnangagwa further highlighted the importance of preserving the history of the continent and ensuring the industrialization of SADC.
At the Geo Pomona plant, we will witness the power of innovation in the advancement of the industrialization agenda and sustainable protection of the environment. The Museum of African Liberation, on the other hand, promotes the preservation of the rich liberation heritage of our region and beyond.
The heads of state and government and other dignitaries were entertained by Jah Preza after a productive day this Saturday. Bruce Chawanda, SADC News, Harare.
The First Lady, Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, has been applauded by her counterparts for spearheading various initiatives aimed at protecting the environment.
First ladies from the SADC region have showered praises on Zimbabwe for the milestones it has achieved through implementing environment-friendly projects under Geopomona Waste Management, with them paying tribute to First Lady Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa for championing good waste management practices through awareness programs and waste management training, after Amai Mnangagwa took them on a tour of Geopomona, a state-of-the-art facility which is a leading example of effective waste management and waste-to-energy generation. The tour was held during the SADC First Ladies high-level meeting on environment, which took place on the sidelines of the 44th SADC Heads of State and Government Summit in Harare. A brainchild of environment patron First Lady Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, the event was graced by Angolan First Lady Dr. Ana Dias Lorenzo, the First Lady of Malawi Mrs. Monica Chakwera, Eswatini Queen Nkosikazi Lamashwama, while the First Lady of Seychelles was represented by Mrs. Margaret Morel. The initiative brought together various environmental players, including the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Wildlife, and the United Nations family. Also present were government ministers, diplomats, and various delegates. In her address, Dr. Mnangagwa highlighted that GeoPomona has set the bar very high in terms of effective waste management, and the tour of the facility was an opportunity to witness the transformative impact of using cutting-edge technology in finding innovative solutions to achieving environmental sustainability and economic development.
GeoPomona has, through creative solutions, transformed a large dumping site into lush green sporting fields and has reduced greenhouse gas emissions brought about by burning waste through converting that waste into energy. In a world which is being choked by waste, most of which is not biodegradable, turning this waste into energy contributes to a safe, clean, and healthy environment.
Dr. Mnangagwa, who is also the SADC patron of environment, highlighted that protecting the environment is everyone's responsibility and everyone bears the responsibility of fostering environmentally responsible practices that include planting trees.
Whilst the devastating effects of the global climate crisis know no boundaries, climate action and environmental protection must be transcendent borders. No country can mitigate or adapt to climate change alone. Protecting the environment is, therefore, a collective duty, and we must all take full responsibility by joining hands to protect the environment and build resilience within our communities.
Amem Mnangagwa's counterpart from Malawi, Mrs. Monica Chakwera, said the high-level meeting afforded her a platform to learn.
Today, I've learned a lot. And I think it is important that we get involved and talk about it and help for people to understand what the problem we have. So I can safely say I'm committing myself to working alongside you to tackle these environmental challenges head on with strength and cheer.
Angolan First Lady Dr. Ana Diaz Lorenzo lauded Dr. Mnangagwa for the initiative, highlighting that environmental issues require coordination at national and international levels.
Felicitar Sua Excelência Auxília Mnangagwa.
I would like to salute the First Lady of the Republic of Zimbabwe, my sister, Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, for this initiative and for inviting us to GeoPomona and to sensitize all the people present with regard to environmental issues and climate change, as well as our sustainability and development. The current environmental crises affect the present and the future of humanity, and our region is particularly affected. And in this context, environmental sustainability should be a matter of concern for all of us.
Eswatini Queen Nkosikathila Mashwama highlighted the need for women to take leadership roles in environmental issues.
The work being done within this facility is not just about managing waste, it is also about creating a sustainable future for generations to come. Waste management is not merely a logistical challenge, it is a moral imperative. It reflects our commitment to preserve the Earth's resources, protect public health, and foster a cleaner, greener environment.
The Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife, Honorable Stembi Sonyoni, commended Dr. Mnangagwa for organizing the program, which afforded everyone a platform to share solutions on how to sustainably take care of the environment for the benefit of generations to come.
Environmental issues and the climate change issues are very much interlinked, and they cannot be dealt by one country alone. In Zimbabwe, we have more elephants than we need. They are causing havoc into the environment and onto our forests. And we are very privileged to have our First Lady, who has been an action ambassador on our wildlife and protector of our people with solutions.
United Nations Resident Coordinator Mr. Edward Callon weighed in, saying environmental degradation and biodiversity loss is a global crisis, adding the need to tackle the menace as a united front.
Our champion, First Lady Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe, has exemplified transformative leadership in this daunting landscape. With her commendable initiatives, she has mobilized not just her country, but it's also fostering today with us here collaboration with the First Ladies of the 15 South African countries to create a unified front together to tackle the pressing environmental and societal challenges we face.
Amem Mnangagwa and her entourage were also taken through the tour of recycling exhibition at Geopomona, where there was education and awareness, being a key enabler to recycling and circular economic approaches. The First Ladies were educated on waste separation at source to enhance integrity of the resource. They also had an appreciation of underground sorting system and other types of bins which promote waste separation from the source. They were also shown several items made from recycled materials. The First Ladies also took an opportunity to plant trees including terminalia, mahogany and mchechete. Colette Msanyera, ZBC News, Harare.
Some regional leaders have left the capital after attending the 44th SADC Summit of Heads of State and Government on Saturday.
Following the successful hosting of the 44th SADC Summit of Heads of State and Government this Saturday, some presidents have now left Harare. Malawi President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera left Harare for Vatican for bilateral discussions with Namibian President His Excellency Dr. Nankolo Mbumba going back home. Lesotho's Prime Minister Right Honorable Samuel Matekane left Harare just after midday and was seen off at the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport by the Minister of Tourism and Hospitality Industry, Honorable Barbara Rodzi. The outgoing SADC chairperson, who is also the Angolan president, His Excellency João Manuel Lourenço, departed Harare just before 1500 hours and was seen off at the airport by Senator Monica Mchangwa, who is the Minister of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development. The last to depart this Sunday was the incoming SADC chairperson and Madagascar President, His Excellency Andre Rajoelina, who was seen off at the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport by the Minister of National Housing and Social Amenities, Honorable James Soda. Bruce Chawanda, SABC News, Harare.
The Southern African Development Community has reiterated its call for the removal of sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe by the West.
As the 44th SADC Summit wrapped up at the new Parliament building in Mount Abden this Saturday, the SADC Executive Secretary Mr. Elias Magosi read out a communiqué detailing issues that were discussed and agreed upon by the regional heads of state and government. The major takeaway from the summit resolutions is the call for the removal of sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe by the West.
Summit reiterated the call made at the 39th SADC Summit for the unconditional removal of sanctions imposed on the Republic of Zimbabwe and acknowledged that the sanctions continue to hinder the progress and prosperity of the people of the Republic of Zimbabwe and the SADC region.
On the economic front, SADC took note of the implementation of the Tripartite Free Trade Area Agreement.
Summit took note of the entering into force of the agreement establishing the Tripartite Free Trade Area among the Common Markets for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, the East African Community, EAC, and SADC on the 25th July 2024, providing opportunities for SADC member states to tap into an expanded market of 26 countries. Summit adopted and signed the Declaration on Protection of Persons with Albinism, signifying the collective resolve of SADC member states to take necessary measures at the regional and national levels to address the challenges faced by persons with albinism.
On health matters, SADC noted the United Nations declaration of Mpox as a public health emergency.
And in the SADC region, the declaration by the World Health Organization of Mpox as a public health emergency of international concern, the declaration of Mpox as a public health emergency of continental security by Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, respectively, and urged member states to strengthen disease surveillance, diagnostic, testing, and clinical care, infection prevention and control, as well as awareness raising of the disease at all levels of the community.
SADC also acknowledged the effects of climate change, mass killings of civilians in Palestine, as well as the peaceful elections held in the DRC, Eswatini, Madagascar, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. Tarema Duyu, ZBC News, Harare.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa's assumption of the SADC chairmanship has been described as a key opportunity for the regional bloc to enhance its socio-economical and political integration priorities.
Since the coming in of the Second Republic under the leadership of President Emmerson Mnangagwa, Zimbabwe has witnessed commendable growth through a series of developmental initiatives that align with SADC's industrialization objective. In pursuit of the regional bloc's developmental agenda, SADC is expected to take a cue from Zimbabwe's innovation and industrialization roadmap during Comrade Mnangagwa's tenure as chairperson of the bloc.
The SADC this year does have a direction, which is explained in this year's theme, which are focused on innovation and industrialization with a view of promoting economic integration. When you look at what we have done at a national level, these also have been the key focus areas that Zimbabwe has been focusing on, which then makes it quite easier for the president to give policy direction in terms of innovation and in terms of industrialization, because these are key areas that we have been focused on. These are some of the projects that we have done, which the president now can, together with his colleagues at SADC, can drive the organization to focus on.
Building upon President Mnangagwa's mantra, nyika inovakwa nevene vayo, ilizwe lakiwa la vanikazi valo, sustainable growth anchored on homegrown solutions is imminent.
The mantra of President Emmerson Mnangagwa and the Second Republic is nyika inovakwa nevene vayo, meaning we are our destinies. We have to transform ourselves from abject poverty. So the regional bloc is going to benefit a lot in terms of transforming economies from traditional to modernity, and the modernization process is driven by Africans. It is driven by people of Southern Africa.
Zimbabwe will utilize its engagement and re-engagement policy to promote regional and international cooperation.
Since President Mnangagwa's assumption as president of Zimbabwe in 2017, he has been on an overdrive of reintegrating Zimbabwe amongst the community of nations and increasing international cooperation. And he has always had the mantra of being a friend to all and an enemy to none. So I believe this dovetails well with the SADC agenda of regional cooperation and also international cooperation. So I believe SADC is now in the best position to be a critical player in the community of nations, and also SADC nations are going to see more cooperative and collaborative efforts for the development of the region.
Leveraging on its strides towards the attainment of Vision 2030, Zimbabwe as the SADC chair is expected to effectively steer the regional body to deliver on its mandate. Festus Mkongorotse, ZBC News, Harare.
Brigadier General retired Elasto Madzingira, who died on the 7th of this month, has been declared a national hero.
National hero status has been conferred on the late Brigadier General retired Elasto Madzingira, who will be buried at the National Shrine at a date to be advised. Harare Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Senator Charles Tawengwa, who delivered the news to the family at their home in Harare's Greendale suburb this Sunday, said that the national hero status was in recognition of Brigadier General retired Madzingira's immense contribution during and after the liberation struggle.
Vakaenda pa University ya Rhodesia, then yanga iri Rhodesia muna 1978 kuti undergraduate student, but kwangoti pere mwedzi mishoma ivo nevamwe vari vashanu nevaning'ina vavo vairi vakafunga kuti kwete handei tibire tinobatana nevamwe tirwe rusununguko rwekusunungura nyika. Vakatorana nevanin'ina vavairi vakaenda. Izvi zvese zvakange zvapinda mavari nyaya ye-liberation struggle nokuti vakambenge vachishanda yataiti underground vakazopedzisira vakuita basa ravo vari medical officer kuhondo ikoko. Vadzoka kuno vakadzokera kuchikoro vakanotanga kudzidza zvakare vakaita bachelor of accountants degree ravo, asi vakazoita dzimwe dzidzo dzakawanda, mamasters, madiplomas, vakaramba vachifunda. Vakazoenda kuair force kwavakashanda vari kuair force kwenguva vari ikoko, vachizobva muna 1985 vakutransfer kuenda kuZimbabwe National Army kwavakazoita retire 10 years later in 1995. Vakazoshanda munzvimbo dzakasiyana siyana dzavakanga vachishanda vari muhurumende. Vakabata zvigaro zvakasiyana siyana kuCivil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe, Anti-Corruption Commission, Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe yatinoti BAZ, Zimbabwe Electricity Transmission Distribution, Zimbabwe Defense Forces Benefit Fund, National Disability Board, nedzimwe zvigaro zvakasiyana siyana zvavakabata.
While expressing gratitude to the ZANU-PF party and the government for the national hero status, the family described the late as an honest man.
He worked very diligently for the government. He was an honest man. To the family, let me say we have lost stronghold, your family Madzingira, because he was influential in everything that we would do as a family. We were working as a team. Mufamily tiritese tinoda kutenda vakuru venyika kuti muri kwamadzingira ine mfaro tarasikirwa zvedu, but kuti tiwane a family representative aendawo kunoiswa pachikomo chinhu chinofadza, and we really appreciate and we are thankful to HE for conferring him the hero status.
Born in 1958, the late Brigadier General retired Madzingira, whose Chimurenga name was Ronald Jenyika, joined the liberation struggle with the ZANU forces in 1978 after abandoning university studies and crossing into Mozambique, where he received military training. He is survived by his wife and 6 children. John Nandara, ZPC News, Harare.
And may his soul continue to rest in peace. From the capital, it's time to cross over to our Montrose studio where Memory Nkwe and Lovo is on standby to take us on. Memory, good evening. It's over to you.
Good evening, Leanne, and good evening to the viewers at home. Moving on with our bulletin, the Wange Power Station Unit 7 and 8 expansion project, which is a stride towards the national energy self-sufficiency, falls within the grand scheme of Vision 2030. Our Matabeleland North Bureau Chief Mhlomuli Ncube has the following report.
The power utility company ZESA is not sitting on its laurels after delivering 600 megawatts through the Wange Power Station Unit 7 and 8 expansion project commissioned last year. As more solutions are being sought for the increase in power generation in the country, government takes the project as a stepping stone towards implementation of more of such magnitude and a key stride towards the attainment of energy self-sufficiency and an upper middle income society status by 2030.
Vision 2030 is an economic vision. Eyukuthi abantu bazabe sebesesimeni esithize somnotho wabo. So khonokana kwangezelela kube kwamagetsi kwangezelela ekuthini isimo lesana ese upper middle income economy sibe seduze sibe isimo esingenzakala. So kwaqinisa kakhulu umbono kahulumende okapresident ivision kapresident ukuthi kube ireality u2030.
Power self-sustenance is a critical national objective that comes when the country is working flat out to grow the national economy. Zimbabwe not only wants to boost its domestic power output by 2030 but to also generate enough for the export market. Mhlomuli Ncube, SADC News, Wange.
Zimbabwe has surpassed the $5 billion United States dollar tourism industry target ahead of the 2025 schedule.
Zimbabwe will host the UN Regional Forum on Gastronomy Tourism at the end of this month and the SADC Summit in August. The two high-profile events, among others, are expected to attract a significant number of regional and international delegates, showcasing Zimbabwe's capabilities in hosting large-scale conferences and events. Tourism players who spoke to ZBC News in Victoria Falls this Tuesday are alive to the growth impact of meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions.
I think it's a great opportunity and a positive impact for the industry players because we get to participate.
Hosting the United Nations is a huge endorsement of Zimbabwe as a destination, as a worldwide destination, and it allows us to showcase and attest to Zimbabwe's gastronomic skills.
The Hospitality Association of Zimbabwe concurred on the positive impact of MICE on tourism recovery.
Both those events will attract not only regional attention, but also international audience and attention. So Zimbabwe will be on the map.
Excellent service has been identified as key in making an indelible mark in the minds of visitors.
My encouragement to HAS affiliated members is to ensure that we deliver excellent service so that we create good impressions to all the visitors.
The Transform Africa Summit, International Association of Insurance Supervisors Conference, Junior Chamber International, Africa Public Service Day, UNWTO Media Communication Workshop, and the UN Economic Commission for Africa are some of the MICE events held in Zimbabwe over the past 18 months. Tichaona Kurewa, ZBC News, Victoria Falls.
In our I'm an African segment tonight, we take a look at Africa's sprinting sensation. Botswana's Letsile Tebogo has become the face of Africa's sprinting revolution after winning the continent's first ever Olympic gold medal in the men's 200 meters at the just ended Paris Olympic Games. In this week's I Am an African feature, we look at how the 21-year-old has revolutionized sprinting on the continent.
Some work for a lifetime to be legends, while others have a legendary status bestowed upon them. And for Letsile Tebogo, it only needed 19.46 seconds. In less than 20 seconds at the Bolas Nedin Zidane 1998, a venue that saw Portugal winning its first European Football Championship in 2016, and the same turf that Springboks lock Peter Steph du Toit conquered to guide South Africa to the 2023 Rugby World Cup trophy. Letsile Tebogo was not to be outdone. Many African greats before Tebogo had tried. Frank Fredericks of Namibia, widely considered the father of African sprinting, Kenyan Ferdinand Omanyala, Wade van Niekerk, and Akani Simbine of South Africa. They all tried, but they failed to get gold. However, they paved the way. Just like the biblical Moses, they all saw the gods, but they never had them around their necks. The sensation from Botswana has been showing off his class since the 2023 World Championships in Budapest. With an estimated global viewership of 34 million fans, the Botswana International Tebogo chose the grandest stage of them to write his name in the history books and walk in the announce that no African sprint athlete had. Tebogo befittingly returned home to a hero's welcome after winning Botswana's first gold medal at the Olympics, which was also Africa's first in the 200-meter event. 30,000 fans turned up at the National Stadium in Gaborone to welcome a living legend who truly showcased the African in him.
He was indeed a marvel to watch, and that's all we had for you from our Montrose studios. And the Sunday edition takes a short break. We'll be back with more news from our presenters right there at the Pocket Cell Studios. Good evening.
As a Zimbabwean
Zimbabwe hosts the 44th Southern African Development Community SADC Summit on home soil. The Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable D. Garwe, Deputy Minister, Honorable Engineer B. Kabikira, Permanent Secretary, Dr. J. Basera, Management and staff extend warm felicitations to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, on his assumption of the chairmanship of our regional bloc. Your Excellency, as you take up this important assignment, we are in no doubt that the interest of the region, and in particular its quest to industrialize for sustained economic growth, will go a gear up. We want to assure you, Your Excellency, of our continued commitment and support to ensure that this new chapter is a resounding success. May God grant you all the wisdom on this journey. Congratulations, hongera, parabens, felicitations.
The Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Honorable Torerai Moyo, Deputy Minister, Honorable Angeline Gata, Permanent Secretary, Moses Mike, and the entire members of staff in the ministry would like to congratulate the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, for assuming chairmanship of the Southern African Development Community, SADC. Your sacrifice as one of the pioneers of the African liberation struggle and unwavering commitment for the economic and cultural development of the region, as pronounced in the Vision 2030, are well placed to move the region forward. This year's SADC theme, promoting innovation to unlock opportunities for sustained economic growth and development towards an industrialized SADC, is aptly espoused in your philosophy, Nyika Inovakwa Nevenevayo. The ministry takes pride in associating itself with your principles of total liberation of the country and region. We are confident that with your visionary leadership, the region is in safe hands. As we implement the heritage-based curriculum, which is founded on the principles of African history, values, and spirit of patriotism as epitomized in the philosophy of Ubuntu, we celebrate the inspiration that you will bring to the SADC community. The ministry, therefore, joins the nation and the SADC family in saying, Makorokoto, congratulations, Amhlope, Matenderwa Shumba, Murambwi.
The founder of Muduvuri Pan-African Referral Hospital in Kadoma, Jimai Muduvuri, extends heartfelt congratulations to His Excellency Comrade Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa on his appointment as chairperson of the Southern African Development Community SADC during the 44th Ordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government in Harare. This achievement is a testament to the region's trust in your exemplary leadership and a strong affirmation of the confidence the people of Southern Africa have in your ability to guide our region towards a prosperous future. We sincerely pray that God grants you the wisdom, strength, and capacity to lead the region to greater heights of success. In alignment with your mantra, we continue to build clinics across Zimbabwe, including the E.D. Mnangagwa Clinic in Chivi, the Joshua Nkomo Clinic in Gwanda, the Robert Mugabe Clinic in Jimba, the Rekai Tangwena Clinic in Nyanga, and the Herbert Chitepo Clinic in Mutare. Congratulations once again. Makorokoto, Amhlo Peshumba. The Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziyambi Ziyambi, Deputy Minister, Honorable N.T. Mazungunye, Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Vimbai Nyemba, Chief Director, Directors and staff join the First Family and the entire nation in conveying heartfelt congratulations to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, on his appointment as the new chairperson of the Southern African Development Community, SADC. This significant milestone is a true demonstration of your visionary leadership and steadfast commitment towards the betterment of the Southern African region. As you assume this mantle of regional leadership, we are filled with confidence that your tenure will be defined by a relentless pursuit of justice and equality for all. Your steadfast resolve to leave no one and no place behind will undoubtedly galvanize the collective efforts of the SADC member states towards a shared vision of prosperity, integration, and sustainable development. We further commend the people of Zimbabwe for maintaining our culture of peace and unity during the SADC Summit. Your spirit of patriotism is a firm commitment to supporting His Excellency and the SADC family during this period. May the dear Lord continue to bless you. Makorokoto, Amhlope. Congratulations. The Ministry of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. We uphold, develop, and provide accessible, efficient, and effective justice delivery.
The Minister for Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. J. Muswere, Deputy Minister, Dr. O. Marupi, Permanent Secretary, Mr. N. Mangwana, Chief Director, and the rest of the ministry staff would like to congratulate His Excellency President Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa on his assumption of the SADC chairmanship. Your exceptional leadership, expertise, vision, and guidance will undoubtedly scale the region to greater heights of excellence and collaboration. Congratulations, Makorokoto Amhlope Shumba Murambwi.
The Revolutionary Party, ZANU-PF, through the length and breadth of its structures, namely the Elders Council, Politburo, Central Committee, War Veterans League, Main Wing, Women's and Youth Leagues, expresses profound congratulations to His Excellency, the President and First Secretary of ZANU-PF, Comrade Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, on his appointment as Chairperson of the Southern African Development Community, SADC. This is a feat which attests to his diplomatic acumen and a reinforcing gesture to his iconic Pan-African statesmanship. The new task also endorses his diplomatic genius as the mastermind of the engagement and re-engagement policy. ZANU-PF and all its gamut of affiliate groups are also confident that under Zimbabwe's chairmanship, the SADC region will enjoy unprecedented industrial growth and innovation. This is against a backdrop of the investment magnetic novelties that Zimbabwe has enjoyed under the tried and tested servant leadership of our head of state and government, Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. His exemplary inclination to inclusive governance, fostering peace and social cohesion, enhances the foundational principles of the regional organ. His decades of service to the continent, which dates back to his teenage involvement in the late Dr. Kenneth Kaunda-led United National Independence Party, UNIP, will provide a wealth of wisdom to strengthen the core mission and functions of SADC. ZANU-PF also prides itself in the leadership provided by His Excellency President Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa towards the successful hosting of the 44th Ordinary SADC Heads of State and Government Summit in Harare. Under his guidance, Zimbabwe continues to be repositioned as a citadel of diplomacy and an iconic tower of innovation and industrialization. City Amhlope, Makorokoto, congratulations. Pamberi ne ZANU-PF. Pambili nge ZANU-PF. Forward with ZANU-PF. Nyika inovakwa nevene vayo. Ilizwe lakiwa ngabanikazi balo.
You are still watching Sunday Edition. Thank you for staying with us. Now, if you were watching the bulletin earlier, we had a bit of a chit-chat on the subject of teeth. Yes, I know. And I wanted to find out whether or not your teeth are strong enough for anything else other than chewing.
Well, for me, like I mentioned, either than picking a toothbrush with my teeth, I'm not sure what yours can do, Yvonne.
Well, mine can only chew, but we do have a Rafingora man who has become a local sensation as he occasionally entertains his community through lifting heavy weights with his teeth.
And now in our This and That feature tonight, our Mashonaland West crew caught up with the heavyweights lifter and witnessed one of his intriguing acts. Let's take a look.
Lifting heavy weights and carrying them from one place to another is quite a demanding task, and the art itself is typically associated with bouncers and trained gym enthusiasts. However, for 24-year-old Munyaradzi Mudavanu from the Rafingora community of Zimba, lifting heavy materials is just a walk in the park. Using just his teeth, the medium-sized lad has become an alternative source of entertainment for this community. Seeing him perform and mobbed by cheerleaders, one can only assume that the young man who would be under the influence of drugs.
Izvizvi zvakangogara zviri muropa rangu, simba iroro ndinotongonzwa kuda kutongonzwa kutakura zvinorema nguva zhinji. Saka ndinopedzisira ndakutoita zvokutoruma nemazino ndichida kunzwa kuti pamwe zvingaite nani mukati menyama yangu nokuti ndezvandiri. Ndinokwanisa kutobereka kana munhu kumusana ndabva ndasumudza saga iroro.
Mudavanu says despite being born with the skill and natural power, a good diet also complements his eggs.
Chinoitika ndechekuti chikafu chandinodya ndicho chinoita kuti ndiwane simba randinenge ndinaro. Dzimwe nguva ndinowanza kunge ndichimedza kana mazai mambishi ndo zvimwe zvinowanza kundipa simba mukati memiri wangu.
His physical appearance always leaves onlookers with unanswered questions, with some associating his performances with black magic.
Chitositarisa ule mngoma nanga isumudza oila ifunga pamuda kushandisa mishonga. Zvambonita kaundiremera ona mbofunga kuti juju inombondichenesera.
Uyu munhu tatongomisa batika ndatozobvuma zviriko zvaitwa neshamwari yangu.
Whether it is sheer strength and skill or other supernatural powers at play, one only hopes Mudavanu fulfills his professional dream in good health. Chamuka Charakupa, SADC News, Rafingora.
Oh my, I'm sure he has quite an expensive diet, because I'm wondering how much calcium he needs to have such strong teeth. Anyway, food for thought. Let's take a look at what's up in our business world and Sunbees. Up next.
Zimbabwe's banking sector and development partners have endorsed government's infrastructure development roadmap by mobilizing funds and considering long-term credit facilities at affordable terms.
Is spearheading the development of infrastructure across the country, with a private sector involvement being cited as key in achieving the National Development Strategy 1 aspirations. Bankers Association of Zimbabwe President Mr. Lawrence Nyazema notes the need for financial institutions to mobilize more credit facilities and mortgages for on-lending to industry and commerce at affordable terms.
The government has been doing a lot in terms of roads, in terms of other infrastructure. So ours is to come in and ensure that we provide affordable financing to our people. One of the issues that has been there is the issue of tenure. Zimbabwe is one of the few places where you get housing loans and mortgages for 2 years, for 5 years. Elsewhere in the rest of the world, you are given up to 20, 30 years. So one of the initiatives that we have to be rolling out is extending the tenure.
Chief Business Officer for Shelter Africa, Mr. Gibson Mapiza, says as a development banker, financing of infrastructure development is critical in modernizing economies.
There are a lot of DFIs, development financing institutions doing a lot, and ourselves as a DFI as well. Going forward, we want to invest a lot towards impact, towards scale, and ensuring that we eradicate our poverty. So the significance is growing, it's big, and I think is to do more.
In a show of commitment to ease government's burden in financing projects, CBZ Holdings and Shelter Africa signed a $15 million facility for housing development projects across the country. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
Well, that's a cap in our Sunbiz Science and Tech coming up.
Environmentalists continue to innovate and improve the efficiency of wood energy stoves to promote the conservation of forests and mitigate climate change, as explored in our science and technology feature. Up next.
Non-renewable wood energy remains a key source of power used by the majority of the rural population. Environmentalists have therefore teamed up researching new ways to derive more energy from less firewood, leading to improved twig or tsotso-based stoves that became widespread a few years ago.
If you look at the size of this stove, it's a bit smaller than the previous models that were being made. The previous models, they were consuming a lot of firewood as compared to this model. And this model is more effective in a way such that it keeps extracting heat even after you remove these twigs, because it's made of clay soil. It's also made of cow dung and also sand. If you look on cow dung, it's a conductor of heat. So this keeps this stove contain heat for, it's a heat conductor for quite some time.
The improved wood energy stove features new parts, channeling more oxygen and preventing heat wastage.
This cook stove works with different metal components. This one is called a fuel shelf. This is where our small twigs sit on when we are inserting them on the stove. Then I will show how to insert it in the stove. We first open these two wings out. Then the shorter part is placed into the combustion chamber here. It should not be longer into the stove, but just short. Then we have inserted our fuel shelf like this. Then we also have this one, which is called a pot stand. This is where our pot sits on, and we put it on top here. Then we have this one called a pot skirt. It is a wind shield. It prevents the fire from being swayed away by the wind, so that our fire is concentrated on the pot where it is needed. It has reduced the carbon, and also the few twigs, they will cook fast. Anything, beans and other things that we might think they take time preparing, they will be cooked in a shorter time on this stove.
The stoves represent a significant step forward in addressing the energy needs of rural Zimbabwean communities, and users also benefit from shorter cooking time, cleaner and smart energy, and reduced emissions, thereby contributing to the fight against climate change. Tapiwa Machemedze, ZBC News, Bindura.
We're off to a break. To stay with us for more news coming up after this.
The national chairman of Apostory and Mazion for ED, Madzibaba Moses Gwasarira, extends heartfelt congratulations to His Excellency, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, on his appointment as the SADC chairman. The Apostory and Mazion religious community is honored to witness this achievement. The millions of Apostory and Mazion members in Zimbabwe and abroad offer their prayers for divine wisdom, good health, and leadership grounded in faith for President Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. His leadership is anticipated to greatly benefit the SADC region throughout his chairmanship as the nation strives towards the realization of Vision 2030. Under President Mnangagwa's leadership, the Apostory and Mazion have experienced freedom of worship, economic stability, and progress in infrastructure, food security, human rights preservation, and global re-engagement. They continue to pray for peace, unity, and development, embodying the president's mantra, Nyika inovakwa, inotongwa, inonamatirwa, neve nevayo.
NASA congratulates His Excellency, the President, Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, on taking over as chairman of the Southern Africa Development Community, SADC. We are confident you will extend your astute leadership to SADC as you lead the charge in promoting innovation to unlock opportunities for sustainable economic growth and development towards industrialized SADC. Congratulations, Makoro Koto Amhlope. NASA, a lifelong promise.
The ZANU-PF Secretary for Women's Affairs, Comrade Mabel Memory Chinomona, Deputy Secretary, Comrade Judith Ngwe, the National Executive Council members, the entire Women's League and staff extends heartfelt congratulations and best wishes to His Excellency, President Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, for assuming the role of SADC Chair. Your Excellency, as you embark on the journey to advance the SADC regional agenda for the collective development, peace, unity, and interests of the respective respective SADC countries, the ZANU-PF Women's League expresses profound appreciation that in your acceptance speech, you acknowledged the importance of taking on board women and youth on the SADC development agenda. To the wing, this is a true reflection of your consistency and commitment in the furtherance of the women and youth empowerment agenda, which you fully subscribe to. Congratulations, Makorokoto Amhlopenke. The Minister for Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. J. Muswere, Deputy Minister, Dr. O. Marupi, Permanent Secretary, Mr. N. Mangwana, Chief Director, and the rest of the ministry staff would like to congratulate His Excellency President Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa on his assumption of the SADC chairmanship. Your exceptional leadership, expertise, vision, and guidance will undoubtedly scale the region to greater heights of excellence and collaboration. Congratulations, Makorokoto Amhlope Shumba Murambwi.
The board, management, and staff of the Civil Aviation